All right, for your sleeve patterns that we're going to practice with in our lesson here, we need to actually make a dartless sleeve pattern from our sloper so that we can begin with that sort of sleeve. Some designs are based off of the sloper and some designs are then based off of the dartless sleeve sloper. So open up the file, size 8 sleeve sloper. You can get it from the lesson, download it, open it in Illustrator. Go ahead and go to File and do a Save As in order to save your file with the name of the assignment and your name or your initials. And go ahead and just say OK to all the defaults once you save that. Then you can open up your layers panel right over here and go to artboards. You can name your first artboard Sleeve Sloper, and you can duplicate this artboard with all of the artwork on it by going to the menu in the upper right hand corner for the artboard panel and duplicate the artboard. We can double click on that name and this will be our Dartless Sleeve Sloper. All right, and go with that. Using my selection tool, I will select this sleeve. Everything is grouped together, so I can go to Object and ungroup it. I'm going to go ahead and remove my grain line and the words for right now, as well as I'm going to click on the sleeve. It has a solid white fill. I'm going to go ahead and make that a nothing fill while I do my manipulations. And I could increase that stroke by one more point. It'll show up better on the screen for you. Now, we're going to redraw the bottom part of this sleeve. And so we actually are going to go ahead and cut it apart so that then we can connect to our top quite easily. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit for us to be able to see here. You'll use your scissors tool. It's behind the eraser tool. And we want to, I'm going to have to select the sleeve so that I can get to that point up on top. And I am going to cut at the underarms right there. I'm going to use my direct select arrow and select one of those points. I'm using my keyboard arrows to actually kind of nudge it out of the way so that when I want to start drawing, I can connect to this part of the sleeve, and then we'll get rid of these later. The line, that is our bicep line. Right now, we can just go ahead and delete it. We will draw it back in a little bit later, but that way we don't accidentally connect to that line. Now I'm going to zoom back out here so that we can see the lower part of the sleeve. The dartless, I want to come in a little bit now. All right, the dartless sleeve pattern is in your textbook on page 309. You did this with your half scale patterns back in Pattern Making 1. All right, so now that I have these separated at those areas, I can use my pen tool so that I can connect back to this piece. And remember, when using your pen tool, if you're going to connect to a open-end path, when you hover close to that anchor point, you get the slash line next to the cursor. So I know I'm connecting to that. So I will click to connect, single click, and then since I wanted a straight line, and here's where having your guidelines turned on is helpful. I've got my shift key pressed down so that I know I am constrained to a perfect vertical line. But see the pink show up where it's telling me I am in line with the lower point here, and I will single click. Now I'm using my command key or control key to temporarily switch to my selection tool. I'm going to click away from everything for right now. Now on this side, I'm going to go ahead and click, single click, so I'm connecting on this side, and using my shift key to constrain it to a straight vertical line. As I come down near the bottom, I've got my pink guideline showing up so that I know I'm in line with the point on the other side of the front edge of the sleeve. I will single click and then command key or control key to click away and let go of that drawing. So right now the line across the bottom is still open. We're going to come in and take care of that here in just a moment. But I want to show you the book is talking about the entry measurement. So that is what this measurement is. Obviously, our new pattern is going to have a much wider space, but we may need to go ahead and measure what that is. We do have a measuring tool, which is back here behind the eyedropper tool. And it's going to allow us to click and kind of, unfortunately, it only measures in straight lines. So as we do click and draw that, look in your navigator info box, because once I let go, that will all disappear. But we are approximately about 8 inches across here, maybe just slightly more. We're just going to have to go with the estimate on that. But it gives us an idea of what that entry is, if you need to jot that down. All right, back to our pen tool so that we can connect from this point over to that one, and it will now be a closed path because you can see the cursor next to the cursor, a circle appeared when I do the final click. So that is one whole pattern piece there. All right, so the section that we had cut and then lowered a little bit, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need those anymore. But you do want the elbow line. Actually, if I redo that real quick, the elbow line will be important. We are going to need that. And then we'll leave this in place for a moment. But we don't need these anymore. On that elbow line, we need to go ahead and extend it out on each side. So I use my direct select tool, select the point on the left, keep my shift key down, that way I keep it in a straight line, and I'm dragging out so that it meets to the two sides. That is my elbow line. I can also use my line segment tool to click, hold, and drag and put my bicep line back in there. All right, now down here, we need to then measure what this line is. And the new one is about 12.3125. So that is about 12 3/8. All right, and it's pretty much centered, so I'm pretty good. This center grain line, I'm using my grid to look at here to see if my middle grain line is centered, and I do not need to move it. If I needed to, I would put find the middle here and add a point to this outer edge, but if you haven't moved anything on yours, you should be good there. But what we do need is to put a little segment line to indicate our entry on this. And we said the entry was about approximately 8 inches. So measuring out from center over, I could go 4 inches this way for one of my notches. And then I can measure using my grids, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do another notch on that side. All right, so that would be a dartless sleeve pattern. I'm going to go ahead and save real quick. Now at the bottom of page 309, it does show us adding some more guidelines in here. So let's get a segment line, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, and then 1/8 of an inch on each side of our center line. I used my grid to quickly measure those. I'm going to then go ahead and come over 3 inches and click and drag a segment from the top to the bottom to divide this half into a half. And then over here, 1, 2, 3, on this side as well, I am going to click and drag a line to quarter that. These two lines I will go ahead and take down to a single point, that way they're a little bit lighter. And this sets up your dartless sleeve pattern because many sleeves are developed off of that. We will then use this dartless sleeve pattern for the remaining pattern manipulations in this unit. So get your file set up and ready for that, and then we will go forward.